Before the war, about 40% of the gas use in Europe came from Russia. And now it's just a tiny proportion of that. And so, of course, that's a big shock for the European economy as a whole. The economic trajectory for the next years looks quite bleak in comparison to what was expected before the war broke out. And so for next year, for instance, the projection for economic growth is 0%. And that's quite painful because after the pandemic, we would have needed a few years of sustained economic growth to get back on our feet. And what makes matters even worse is that this 0% growth figure kind of hides a little bit that there are big differences between different countries. And so some countries were not as impacted by the shock, and other countries that either had a lot of energy imported from Russia or whose economy is very energy dependent, or those who have a very hard time to now find new suppliers, they have a much harder time. And so in Germany, for instance, there's likely going to be a recession because it's quite difficult for Germany to get new LNG supplies to the extent that it's necessary. And I think these differences between the European countries also mean that it's quite complicated in this crisis to find common European answers. And a lot of the back and forth that we've seen recently on the European level is due to the fact that countries have different interests. And so part of the reason we haven't seen a price cap, for instance, is that the needs of Germany are not the needs necessarily of some other countries like France or Spain or Italy.